and Gene Hackman early in your career, and then you've really been able to work with some amazing people all through your career, Martin Scorsese, Robert De Niro. When you work with people like that, are they handing down their skills to the next generation?
I've been really lucky. The people I've worked with have been enormously helpful. And Tom Hanks said something to me when we were doing Saving Private Ryan that always stuck with me, which was, I was asking him about a movie he did with Jackie Gleason, and I said, what was it like to work with Jackie Gleason? And he thought about it for a second. He said, I made a decision to not be nervous. And I went, what? And he goes, I knew everyone was so nervous around him, and I just said, you know what? I'm not going to be nervous around him. And once he realized I was treating him like, a fellow human being, we really had this great working relationship, and it was really good advice,
And so you try to do that yourself?
I was trying to do it with Tom Hanks at the time, you don't get anywhere being, genuflecting to, somebody.
How do you do that, though, with someone, say, like Jack Nicholson, who's such a massive, massive legend? How do you not have some sort of mystique around Jack Nicholson?
Those guys are really good at demystifying themselves really quickly. Like, I remember I was rehearsing with Jack in his hotel room, and it was me and Jack and Marty went to the bathroom. And Jack went over to grab a cup of coffee or something from it, and he turned around and he said, I never would have made it this long if I wasn't a great fucking writer. And I remember thinking, like, of course you're a great writer. Of course you're, like, how do you have a 40-year career, even if you're not credited, but like, how do you, unless you have an eye for material, which means like making small adjustments here and there, like, of course you can write. And then I had this great thing with him where I watched him, work on that role and hone it, and he just cut through all of the mystique and just kind of got down. It's like lifting the hood of the car up and going, like, you know what I mean? It just, in one line, he just cut through it all for me.
I gotta find the guy you got in the department. With everybody looking up their own ass and you looking for yourself, I put my money on nobody finds nothing. I know, but Frank, look, for me, you gotta lay low. Right now.
When the film Good Will Hunting came out, it wasn't overnight success because you had been working, but it was a huge degree of success that came on very suddenly. What was that like to deal with as a young guy?
It was odd. I mean, even looking back on it, I think what it is that that kind of fame, the fame was instant. Like the success wasn't instant because I'd been in the union for 10 years. 11 years by the time that movie came out. So I'd been working, but the fame part was the heady part, because it's not that you change, which is the constant thing that you hear, oh, you've changed. It's that you wake up one morning and intellectually that nothing is different in the world. The big things are all the same, right? There's still a kid dying every 15 seconds at that time, all that stuff is all the same, but it's just the world's relation to you is completely different, and that's a very strange thing, because your world is completely different, but the world is exactly the same, and so that takes a little getting used to.
You've mentioned from time to time that you'd be keen to direct at some stage. Do you have any specific plans for that at the moment? Not
plans, but projects, yeah. I've got my eye on some stuff, and it's really, for me, it's a matter of trying to make my life work around because that schedule is incredibly it's very labor intensive and time intensive, and you can't do it halfway. You're responsible for every single thing that's on the screen, every frame. There's nothing arbitrary in any shot of any movie. It's not a mistake that the vase is kind of green that's behind you and there are green flowers coming out of it. Like those are all conversations that you've had months before. And those decisions, you're making thousands of decisions every day, and you need to be there so your departments can, stay ahead of the process. They're trying to prep sets that you're gonna shoot in 2 weeks. You can't not be there. You got to answer all the questions and be around.
We'll be interested to see what you're doing, Matt. Thanks very much for your time.
All right, thanks a lot. Cheers.